This is the Deepwoken Direct as fast as possible delivered to you by me, and I'll be starting the timer once I start. I just want to say, I watched the Deepwoken Direct, I end once they said, we answered the final question. And Agamatsu and the other developers decided to start yapping together. And just to preface, I will say they did a lot of dodging, evading, and deflecting. So that is why the 72 minutes that I watched, it is very short. That's why I'm doing a timer, to shorten it down for you guys. And start. Okay, starting off, they said nothing about the future but Iron Valve. Said that the combat is bad for basic M1 feints. They said that basic M1 feints are not healthy for the game because nobody uses them and mantra feints are better. So, ragoozer said he wants to add charged M1s. This is a terrible idea, in my honest opinion. They wanted to add race-based progression and showed one of two photos of the stream. This is the photo that I saw. This is what they wanted to add, a race-based progression that would advance your race. Next, coming up, they wanted to add another thing, such as vampires. They mentioned that for race-based progression. Interesting because they were nerfing the hell out of Sustain and Bloodless Gems, but now they want to add vampires. They said Central Luminant is a maybe, and then they kept talking about it, and then later on he contradicts himself by saying that that's the only thing he's laser focused on. All ragoozer said when asked more deeply about Layer 3 is that he wants it to be more open world and less empty. And he said he wants it to be, you travel to the open world through instance zones. And when asked for a map of Layer 3, the thumbnail was a lie, this is what we were shown, an MS Paint photo showing a bunch of this stuff. A closer look if you guys want to pause and get a good frame of it. He said to keep it a secret about wiping in Layer 3 when asked that question. Void Sea and Central Luminant are focused. Void Tower they are not certain about releasing. They talked about what's due after Verse 3, which makes no sense to me because Verse 3 isn't even out yet. The PvP is not balanced. Post Verse 3, Central Luminant is the ground focus, moving from weekly updates to an irregular update schedule, but they won't do away with weeklies even if they're small. So they will say, we're going to focus on this, and weekly updates will be small patches and bug fixes. They said PvP and PvE balance is an ongoing process. They said that mantras have trade-offs with upsides and downsides, such as Eclipse Cake having a very long wind-up, but high damage and hyper armor. And there's some mantras that are fast and low damage. They completely defected the question of will there be more world events by stating, I am laser focused on the roadmap, which is interesting because Conquest was on the roadmap, but they never released it. And even then, Conquest wasn't supposed to come out. World events was the one that was voted on the most. Moving on, Agamatsu is currently working on the Chef Oath. They also mentioned a Vigil's origin and a Ministry origin. They also completely deflected the question of new mounts when people asked about it and made fun of it by saying Lionfish Mount. They stated exactly this. I wrote it down as I heard it. The end of Deepwoken is supposed to be the end of the world, but in terms of the narrative itself, I do see it moving forward in big ways. If we ever had a Lord Regent boss fight, winning that should have a huge impact on the world. Either that would be set up to move to Central Luminant, or a huge impact on the current Luminant and the NPCs responding to it. Absolute nothing burger, dodge, deflect, evade. And then K1 said, I would like to add to that, and he stated, I want final endgame bosses as narrative elements. Notice how he said the same thing. But then he did actually add on to it. It would be cool that if you do it, it's a storyline type thing, like you recruit more people or some sort of actual quest line. And he stated, recruit lore characters to stand a chance against other lore characters that you would otherwise be unable to fight. And time. We got that in under 3 minutes. Beautiful. And that was Deepwoken Direct, which took over an hour of my time, which I got in under 3 minutes. They evaded questions and proceeded to answer questions by stating the longest possible answers that meant actually nothing. And a lot of people actually fell for it. This is what politicians do in order to get you with your guard down. There's a lot of examples of politicians being asked very controversial questions, and the reason that they don't answer them is that so they can discuss with their advisory after being answered those questions and make a statement upon it after discussing with them. When in public, being questioned publicly, they answer it very, very, very vaguely. And these guys had the opportunity to set up for these questions because these questions were written down ahead of time, and yet they kept most of everything, if not everything, secret. And they never even said what Iron Vow is. For all we know, it could be an echo modifier. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.